Welcome, Eagles, to another edition of Trad Cat Night special guest exclusive show right here on the TradCatNight.org website. Folks, we already got 2 shows down for this 7/3/2024. We got Dr. Paul Cottrell joining us here right now. So we got one more show after this. Jim Condit Jr. going to be joining us. But listen, we've got some stuff to get through. As always with Paul, we'd like to know some of the latest that's happening up there in New York City. We always like to get his thoughts on the political side of things, economic side of things. We're going to start off with was a concern that we should all have of Dr. Peter McCullough, some of the things that he's going to be promoting here, I think shortly. Paul wants to discuss that. That's where we're going to start, actually. But before we do that, gentle reminder, follow TradCatNight across my major social media outlets. So get 2 to 10 p.m. Eastern. I'm available consultation-wise. The archives of TradCatNight are found on Substack, tradcatnight.substack.com. Don't forget to check out the Marie Julie Jenny exclusive movie available on Vimeo. I put together in October 2019, the most comprehensive English-speaking film on Marie Julie Jenny and the 3 Days of Darkness. And all eyes really are on France. And she had an awful lot to say about France and the frightful anarchy to come, including Paris attacked by Russia, which will only be 88 people survived. And I put out an article this morning. I wonder if we could be, something could happen on the Olympics. I don't know. I'm not saying it will, but let's see what happens there. Geopolitically speaking, between Macron and Putin. Special guest suggestions for August, send them my way. If you want to join me for a podcast, reach on out to me. We just had Susan Kunstman, TradCatNight member, join the show. We were breaking down the failing education system here in America. That's a great show. Don't forget about the Sacred Heart Summer Fundraiser. We just had Kathy H helping out again, folks. Really, at this point, I can't do as many shows as I've done in times past. I've said this now. What's really going to carry us forward is really through this kind of side stuff that we're doing, the consultation program, the Substack, the movie, and of course the donations help and the sponsorships. Really been a decreased memberships, and it's really nothing new, considering if you take a look at like YouTube TV, which lost like 250,000,000 subscribers. I think it was last quarter alone. A lot of people just in general, of course, leaving, streaming sites, paid podcasts, and kind of things like that. So I'm really relying on those who have stuck it out with me to go above and beyond so that I can continue to do the amount of shows that we have been doing. And I appreciate all those who have been helping. And let's see how this is going to be like a week-to-week thing moving forward. So I'll keep everyone up to speed on that. And then last but not least, our sponsors. And hopefully we're going to get Mary Jackson onto the team here, I think, next week to promote the sacred the Holy Face devotion. But we do have Samantha Leasing joining us again, and she's promoting essential oils, the lavender oils, which is good for sunburns, fire pit burns, all that good stuff, help prevent blistering, helping with pain, speeding up the healing process. The lavender does not have an expiration date, so contact Samantha at samantha.widesing@gmail.com for her full product line. We got one of our distinguished sponsors, John Dean of JacksburyNights.com. I did a piece for him over the weekend. Should be up here over the next few days. He's asking for prayers for Father Leo Carly, Father Hoyt, who joined us this morning, Sheila Dean, as well as the Jacksbury Knights prayer intention list. Let's all do that, folks. Keep John in your prayers. But he's an advocate for the 8th Habit book, the 7 Sorrows devotion, as well as the website, olrl.org. Then you got Nick Flew, who will be returning to the program here over the next few weeks. Catholic author, the man behind the scene of Nick's Cafe End Times.com, and you can book him so he can discuss his book, and we're talking on the Third Secret of Fatima and all that good stuff. Pick up a copy of Cross the Rubicon, Catholic Faction book, available on Amazon in paperback or Kindle format. And last but certainly not least, 247rosary.com, playing the traditional rosary every half hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And sign up for the Wednesday Night Rosary Call program by contacting Zach at pray at 247rosary.com. Having said that, we're going to hand it over to Paul now. We're going to extend this podcast a little bit. We'll probably stop around 40 after, so 35, maybe 40 minutes long. And Paul, first of all, how you been? How you been staying busy? And we were kind of just joking off air about how old we're getting and how close I am to getting the Walmart baddie shoes and your bifocals. So pretty close. If I had kids, it would be pretty close to me telling bedtime stories and sitting around the fireplace with a cigar. Scaring the kids with some scary stories, I guess, but I don't know.
Well, as we get older, we're moving more and more towards the Biden years. But, once you get into the late 40s, early 50s, things change. And for me, I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been reading some historical books. And because I've been reading so much, there's the eye strain and, and the bifocal usage and all that. So, what I'd like to talk about, Eric, is I believe it's a pre-published paper. It might have been published already, but my understanding it's a preprint by three researchers, including Dr. McCall. And it's talking about using siRNA and also another method, which is using more of like a protein inhibitor. And the key to their research is to try to inhibit the messenger RNA that's in a cell. All right. The problem is that in both methods, method one is siRNA being put into a lipid nanoparticle, or what they call ribotac, where it is a protein, a conjugated protein, put into a lipid nanoparticle. And you would need high doses of this to get this into a cell that happens to have the messenger RNA. All right. The idea, the theory of the paper is to try to inhibit the messenger RNA. The problem is that you have a lipid nanoparticle that causes an inflammatory response. That lipid nanoparticle is relatively the same recipe as the PEG 2000 that's used by Moderna and Pfizer. All right. So, people need to realize that it's not just the messenger RNA, but also the lipid nanoparticle that is problematic. Now, if we use option one, which is the siRNA, which is a small piece of RNA that is wrapped up in a lipid nanoparticle because it's smaller than the messenger RNA, the lipid nanoparticle's recipe is a little bit different, and it will fuse to the cell, and that double-stranded RNA will get into the cell and attach to something called RISC. RISC is a protein, all right, that breaks apart this double-stranded RNA. And what it'll hold is a complementary sequence to the messenger RNA to try to inhibit it. And then if it attaches, RISC will digest the messenger RNA. Our body creates messenger RNA, and we use processes to downregulate the expression of genes by breaking up messenger RNA that's endogenous. So they're using an endogenous pathway to kind of break down messenger RNA. Sounds theoretically okay. The problem is that we know that there are sequences on the leading strand and the complementary strand that can inhibit tumor suppressor genes. So what happens is that you'll have an siRNA complement that could attach potentially to not just the messenger RNA from let's say Moderna or Pfizer, but also inhibit a tumor suppressor gene. Bad idea, Dr. McCall. Really bad idea. All right. Because this is part of the problem that we're seeing. It's not just the spike protein that can inhibit P53, but also the sequence from the messenger RNA. Certain parts of it can be broken up and turn into actually tumor suppressor inhibitors.
Now, quick question for going further. Is this preventative? Is this reactive? Is this all just related to COVID, to other vaccines? Like what?
Well, what the way the way he's spinning it is that you would use this therapy if someone just had the vaccine, all right, or if they had an integration of the genome, integration of the code into the genome, and you're having never-ending production of this messenger RNA. The problem is that you would have to do these multiple if it was integrated into the genome, right? If the messenger RNA was integrated in the genome, then you would have to have multiple treatments of this siRNA. Well, if you're gonna have multiple treatments of this, you're gonna have continuous inflammation from the lipid nanoparticle, the increased probability of some sort of shutting down of an important messenger RNA pathway, potentially tumor suppressor genes. So he's potentially shutting down tumor suppressor genes with additional dosage of the siRNA to try to shut it down. Right. And by doing this, you have this double-stranded RNA. Well, this double-stranded RNA, what happens if it goes through a process that integrates into the genome, just like the messenger RNA? All right. So all the problems that you have with messenger RNA and lipid nanoparticles are the problems that you can that could arise with an siRNA lipid nanoparticle package. So they have another potential therapy, and that is lipid nanoparticle with a protein, conjugated protein. And that conjugated protein is basically a protein that will attach to a certain section of the messenger RNA. Okay, these nucleotides have a certain sequence. There's a certain sequence for the messenger RNA and a certain three-dimensional topology. Well, you can have kind of like a protein that has the right charge and the right shape to kind of loosely attach to that messenger RNA. That conjugated part of that attachment, of that ligand, can activate something called RNase. RNase is a enzyme that will break apart RNA. Okay, so if you have something that can kind of loosely attach to a messenger RNA and activate RNase, then you're breaking up the messenger RNA particle. The good thing about that method is that it would not get integrated in the genome, potentially like the siRNA, because it's just protein. Problem is it's wrapped up with a lipid nanoparticle. So you're going to have these inflammatory responses and potential clotting issues from the lipid nanoparticle because of this PEG 2000. And to stabilize these things, these lipid nanoparticles, it's like having antifreeze. All right, it's literally like antifreeze. So so he's promoting something that is pro-inflammatory that could lead to clots.
Are you selling this personally?
No, it's a paper, a proof of concept.
Okay.
Now the problem that I have is that all the things that he's complaining about with the vaccine is in the first option.
First thought that comes to mind, listen, I think.
All the things, all of
I
it.
hate to say this, so I'm like wondering if he's just trying to sell more of his product.
Well, the thing is that this goes, with these different methods in the paper, he's trying to silence the messenger RNA. All right. The problem is that if it's integrated in the genome, you can't get it out, and you would have to have repeated treatments. That would just lead to more potential problems. Now, if you're using the ribotac, which is this protein conjugated RNase ligand, all right, this potentially could attach to other messenger RNA. Remember that ligand that's loosely attached to the messenger RNA for, let's say, SARS-CoV-2 vaccine could loosely attach to some other messenger RNA that you need for your cell. All right. So you're breaking apart those things. So there's the collateral damage of either method is problematic and needs way more further investigation. And if it's integrated, for the ones that have the integration, or just they're continually producing spike proteins, right, the S1 and S2 subunits, then you would have to have repeated doses of this stuff, which I think is which is just a big problem. So he's attacking it two different ways. Right? He's attacking it where he's got his protocol, which is not as comprehensive as what I've been saying for 4 years. He has his protocol that he released out in 2023, which is basically bromelain. Well, it's basically 3 ingredients: turmeric, bromelain, and then there's the nattokinase. All right. But the thing is that the nattokinase helps with breaking up clots. The bromelain is a proteolytic, so it helps to break up glycoproteins. And the turmeric is to bring down inflammation. I've been saying this. You've heard me say this. You got to neutralize pathogens, bring down ROS for reactive oxygen species with strong antioxidants, and you have to bring down inflammation. All right. And so I've been telling people what my protocol has been for 4 years, and it's way more comprehensive than what this guy's saying, you know? And so, and then the other side of this that people don't realize is McCall is a cardiologist. All right, it's hard to become a cardiologist. All right. I'm not saying that he doesn't understand medicine. What I'm saying is that there are celebrity docs that have been coming out of the woodwork using other people's original thoughts, spinning it as if it's their own, and using their notoriety to become a celebrity doc. They want to be like a Dr. Oz, or they want to be like a Dr. Drew. And what happens is people buy into it, and they don't realize that, you know what, the Dr. Oz's, the Dr. Drews, and the Dr. McCalls aren't original thinkers. They're not. There's nothing. There's literally nothing. I've been paying attention to Dr. McCall. There is nothing that Dr. McCall has said that is an original thought. Nothing.
Doctors come out, or other people from the medical community coming out pointing out these things.
Dr. Judy, no, not was it? She does the Stewart show, the Peter Stew show. That's a that's a.
I don't think I've had her on the show.
I thought it was Ruby, Dr. Ruby, Dr. Ruby. So Dr. Ruby's going after her, or going after him. And some of the ones that are more, I would put them in the category of the anti-vax movement, that it's kind of like saying, well, wait a minute, why use the siRNA and the lipid nanoparticle when that's basically what the messenger RNA is? And oh, by the way, you have a complement. It's when you're doing the siRNA, it's double-stranded RNA. So that means you have a piece of the messenger RNA code and a complement of the code. All right. So if it gets integrated either way, you can produce spike protein, either in the positive sense or the negative sense. So there's this, there's especially if it goes in reverse transcription, but that's some, finer detail that people don't really need to know about. But the point here is that there are people that are saying, well, wait a minute, Dr. McCall, it seems like you're becoming more promotional and not really about solving the problem. And I've been saying this from day one, is that these doctors, they want to put themselves on a pedestal. They want to be a celebrity doc. And when the vaccine injury class action lawsuits start to happen, which it seems like they're starting to happen actually in Australia now, but when they do happen in the United States, which I think they will, they're going to be calling up doctors as expert witnesses. They can get a fee for that. And I'm willing to bet that Dr. McCall and Dr. Malone and some of these others will be earning a fee for being an expert witness, on top of having a protocol that's not very comprehensive, that's really taking it from other people that have been saying it for 4 years. And then that
stuff's good for you, just
naturally. Well, yeah, what's happening is that I think you're bringing up a great question, a great point. There, especially in Asia, a lot of people have known that natto kinase and fermented soybeans are very beneficial for the blood and to help to thin out the blood. It helps to control cholesterol. It helps to prevent clots. And so it's part of their kind of longevity diet, because they were eating fermented soybeans. All right. What is interesting, I think, with but that's where I was going to go with this. What is interesting going through the COVID years, right? We're past the COVID crisis and we're in the post-COVID era, what I call the post-COVID era. To get through, I've been saying this for a long time, to get through this biologically, you need to take lessons from the longevity experts. And it's like you listen to some of the bodybuilders, you listen to some of the longevity experts, and it's about certain types of nutrition, certain types of supplementation, and certain types of sleep patterns and diet and exercise. When you look at this holistically, you can reverse the effects of the vaccine injury, and you can reverse the effects of the pathogen, if you've contracted it. All right. It's not a silver bullet, but the point here is there's a lot of preventative medicine research and a lot of longevity research that can be brought to the fore and used to help mitigate some of these problems. And that's the core of what I've been saying for 4 years. It's about neutralizing pathogens, bringing down ROS, reactive oxygen species. So lots of antioxidants and bringing down inflammation. All right. Now, when you add in some of the other things to help boost up energy, like the B complex and the digestive enzymes that are proteolytic and fibrinolytic, when you do all that, then you're moving your body towards homeostasis, and hopefully even pre 2020 crisis.
Now, since the last time we talked, I've been paying extra attention to my own health, making sure I get enough vitamin C, obviously vitamin D. I take 10,000 IUs, like regardless, pretty much. Even in the summertime, I'll take it. Although I don't know, I get different opinions from different doctors on that. But I'm a bigger guy than most most people. So,
Right.
but the thing I really been getting into recently, because I saw a few doctors talking on this. I forget where. You should get on TikTok. You really should. There's a lot of popular doctors of it. I think you do really well. And there's a bigger.
My worry, I was going to take your advice, several shows ago when you told me that. But once Congress said that they may, ban it from the United States, I was afraid to go and build up a channel.
Like they're saying it'll basically end up in someone else's hand. There's talk of some Israeli like picking it up. Maybe they ban it. So I don't think it'll like go away. It'll just kind of like shift from being Chinese controlled to like probably Israeli owned. To be honest with you, but I saw a few doctors talking about the like grapefruit juice and how like clean out your arteries. I'm thinking to myself, we're just joking about how older we're getting, and Lord knows with all the sandwiches I've had and the mayonnaise piled up in there and everything else. I'm like, man, I should probably be hitting the grapefruit juice here a little bit. What do you make of that? Like, you see a lot of these cleaners that have the grapefruit stuff in it.
Like, right. Yeah. I mean, I do. I can tell you my life story. All right, with this, I'll be short, right? But I've been somewhat blessed that I've been able to control my lipid profile pretty well, and my cholesterol has been in a good range all my life. Now, again, I was into the whole antioxidants starting at age 16. So maybe that's part of it. But, as I was in my teens and when I was in my 20s, I mean, I ate pizza and hot dogs and hamburgers and all that stuff. So, I mean, it wasn't like I was, really strict on my diet. Now, as I became older, I became more strict. And I would say for the last 10 years, I have grapefruit every morning. All right, just one grapefruit every morning, and I take my, box load of vitamins, and then after that, I have hummus, homemade hummus, and I mix either lemon juice in the homemade hummus, or sometimes I'll mix apple cider vinegar in it, and then I put a probiotic, powdered probiotic in that, and I take more vitamins. That's my lunch. I'm drinking coffee all day long. I mean, I literally drink 10 cups of coffee a day. And then at night, I have a nice balanced meal. It's a salad and chicken, or, some beef, or so I just and what I have noticed with kind of like calorie restriction at part of the day, and one good balanced meal, either at night, or some people do it in the morning, but either way, for me, I just prefer at night. That allows you to really maintain your weight, maintain your physique, maintain energy, and have a good lipid profile. But I also believe once a year, or at least maybe every other year, to do a minor cleanse for the liver, kidney, and gut. And so, I don't sell any kind of
Right.
gut cleansing kind of compounds. But my go-to person for that is Dr. Group and Global Healing Center. And I just, and you just, I think that's just, you can do like a yeast cleanse, you can do, a colon cleanse, there's the heavy duty liver cleanse, which I won't do. I'm afraid to do that. But then there's the lighter version where it's just herbs that you take throughout the month, and that that you notice that actually the hair, your hair is different after doing this. I'm not, a lot of people think that skin and hair health, it's just related to maybe just the surface or just the but it's deep into the gut. It's deep into the liver. And your skin and your hair is signaling to you the health of your organs.
Now, I saw a controversial, I'm not sure if it's controversial, but I guess mainstream health has really been pitching like these cholesterol drugs, what they call statins or something like that. But I saw a few doctors saying how you really do have to have at least a certain amount of cholesterol because your brain is
Right.
like largely composed.
Yeah.
And basically, I guess what he was saying was that like mainstream health was selling people like on those statins or whatever, and it's really harming people, not really helping
Yeah,
them.
I can't prove it. All right. I can't prove it with my father, but he used to work for AstraZeneca. He retired from AstraZeneca and he made some money being a sales guy for AstraZeneca when they came out with their Crestor. All right. Um and so he had good size bonus checks when he was selling this stuff. But the thing is that he was on it because he had high cholesterol. All right. I can't prove that his ischemic dementia was caused by a statin. I can't prove it, but I suspect that it was. All right. Now, the literature out there, I think, is moving slowly towards the point that statins may be actually harmful for the body. Unfortunately, for people that have very high cholesterol, let's say hyperlipidemia, there's nothing else out there that can bring down the numbers low enough for these individuals that potentially could have a stroke. So
Right.
I think they're over. I think the point is that it's a great option for people that have hyperlipidemia that needs to drop that number quickly so they can try to change their diet and move on to something a little bit more natural, with the intent of trying to get them off the statin as fast as possible. Unfortunately, what happens in the United States medical system is they just keep them on the statin. The thought process is just keep them on the statin. I think that's a bad idea. Now, what some of the lessons that can be learned by bodybuilders and also longevity, gurus here is that uh, you can take, and I haven't heard Dr. McCall say this, all right, but I've been doing some research on this, all right. If someone has a high cholesterol count, people can take nattokinase. Normally, they're measured in milligrams, but it's also measured in what is called fibrin units, so FUs. All right. So fibrin units. All right. So normally you want to take about 4,000 fibrin units, which is I think is around 120 micrograms or something like that, or milligrams. But I focus on the FU units. So the 4,000 fibrin units is usually what someone should take just for overall health. But the longevity experts, these are the ones that are slowing down their aging process. They're taking about 10,800 to 12,000 FU units, all right, to control their cholesterol, all right. In addition, they're also coupling it with something called red yeast rice, and that is a compound that acts like a statin. Okay, but it's natural and it doesn't have the side effects of statins, like the muscle cramping and some of the other potential side effects. So the longevity experts are saying, hey, in our protocol, we're using red yeast rice and natto kinase in higher concentrations to bring down the triglycerides, the lipid profile, and the cholesterol, your total cholesterol. Now, again, people need to realize it's not just cholesterol. You need to look at the composition, the LDL versus the HDL. You want high HDL and you want low LDL. So, and you can boost up your HDL by just working out, and you can bring down the LDL by exercise, diet, and supplementation. But for people that are like high lipidemia, like really high lipidemia, that could be very problematic for the heart or cardiovascular disease or stroke. Some people need to be on a statin to get that thing down. But the lesson here is that don't stay on the statin. There are ways to get off of it, and that's using higher doses of natto kinase and the red yeast rice. And these are what longevity experts have been playing around with for years.
Now we got about 10 minutes left here, Paul. We want to get into the debates here in a second, but yeah, consistency all across the board here, folks. You got to sleep enough daily. You got to eat right, be consistent there. You got to supplement wisely and exercise regularly. Pretty regularly at least. As you get older, it becomes even more important than right than when you're in your 20s and 30s typically. So let's talk your breakdown of the debate. If the debates, if you want to call it like that. Again, I'm no big fan of either candidate. Of course, you want to vote lesser to evil, go Trump. Certainly, from a Catholic perspective, you can go out there and do that. Certainly, you couldn't vote for Joe Biden as a Catholic because he's pro-choice, so he's other pro-choice candidates. But I tell you what, that was hilarious, man. I mean, that was like the Three Stooges episode. Just the facial expressions, mainly from Biden, but even Trump made some good ones throughout the day. But just like this kind of like lost, like look out in the left field. I'm like, whoa, the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
Here's the latest. I meant to bring this up. Do you see that? Here's the headline. Here's how Democrats could get Michelle Obama on the ballot as she emerges as a poll front runner. So there's talks of like Kamala Harris and Michelle Obama, I don't know, Newsom or whatnot. What do you think is the strategy? Break it down for us. And what do you think the strategy is forward for the?
All right. I think the big takeaway, and a lot of people knew, but mainstream media was hiding it, was that there's major decline from Biden, President Biden, and that we need to be more worried about who's running the ship because it's obvious that he's not. And this mental decline has accelerated in the last few months. So I would spin it not so much that he has this issue, but why did the mainstream media feel as though they had to hide it? And what is hilarious is how Pelosi is saying, well, Trump has dementia too. It's like, I mean, it's so obvious to the American public that Trump has his full mental faculties and Biden does not. In addition, I don't believe the story that he was sick. I believe he was on amphetamines. And one of the side effects of amphetamines is a dry mouth. All right. And I think they were playing around with he's used to going to bed earlier. They were trying to play around with the dosage and they didn't get it right. So I think that we have a drugged up, cognitive declining president of the United States. And what is really scary is who is actually making the decisions, like, warfare, Ukraine, China, Russia. I'm really, really concerned about that. Now, what is interesting is it seems like there's two camps in the Democratic Party. One camp is, I will call the Obama camp, and the other is the Biden camp. And I think what is happening is that the Obama camp is now trying to raise the alarm and raise funds to try to get a new candidate. I don't believe it's going to be Michelle Obama. One, she doesn't have any experience. So that's like, is the presidency based on experience and know-how and thoughts, or is it based on just a popularity contest like high school? So, Michelle Obama is not going to be on the ticket. The question is will Harris be on the ticket? And it seems from Fox News and CNN that there's at least they're testing the water to see how people react with Harris being, at the convention, getting the nomination.
Yeah, like I said, it was very, 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 very interesting. Again, I think was it 33% of them still said he won the debate after, and I'm like, man, that really spells just doom for the leftists. You honestly really thought he won that debate? 1/3 of all Democrats. I mean, it's
There's
just
just no way. There's no way he won that debate. And not only that,
yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch it live. I watched it recorded, and then I did a show critiquing it. I would pause and then I would critique, right, and then play. Keep on going. So I've seen it twice. All right. My assessment on this is that most of the time Trump had the command of the issues and Biden did not. And that Biden was either just about to fall asleep or look like a deer in the headlights. And he just isn't up to the task of being the president of the United States. And Trump is. Now, I'm a little worried about Trump. He probably has some cardiovascular disease, all right, because of his physique and the stuff that he eats. I'm concerned about a heart attack. But in terms of mental acuity, Trump is at 100% there. He is focused and he's 100% there. Huh?
What was he, 83?
No, Trump is 70. I thought it was 76.
Oh, that yeah, I thought it was 16. So
No,
yeah.
no, 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 no. I think no, he's like I thought he was 4 years. I thought it was 4 years, 4 or 5 years younger than Biden.
Yeah.
So now he could when he ends, if he's like let's say he's 77, when he ends his presidency, he would be around Biden's age. That's how they're spinning it. It's like when he's near the end of his presidency, he's going to be in his 80s. Well, we're dealing with an 80-year-old right now, that's in the presidency. And yeah, so they kind of spin the facts. And this is another thing that I don't like about the mainstream media. They were saying that everything that Trump was saying is a lie, is fabricated and all this. Did he embellish on some issues? Maybe to make a point. But the far majority of the things that he said was just flat out true. We have a porous border bringing in crime. I see it every day in New York. All right. It's hurting sanctuary cities. We're running out of money. It's Trump is right in the sense that, what? We may have problems with Social Security as we're trying to bolster up all these illegal immigrants. So, I'm for Trump this cycle.
Even if Phil gets in there and swings for the fences and misses here or there, it can't be any worse than what we're dealing with right now. Right?
Yeah, I just think they're really the Democratic Party is trying to spin it as during the COVID days. It was economic disaster, but that would have happened no matter who the president was. That was an event that is so out of main operating procedures that any president would have had a failing economy. So I don't fault Trump at all for the COVID years, and I am concerned about the mental acuity of Biden, but I'm also concerned about the mental acuity of Harris. She doesn't see he has dementia, all right, and he's getting older. She's just plain stupid. So and what is interesting about this, and I think a lot of people, this dovetails into the next topic. A lot of people aren't talking about SCOTUS. The Supreme Court rules for Trump in terms of immunity for official duties. All right. Now, the mainstream media, including Fox and the talking heads on YouTube, are saying this is great for Trump. It is. It is. It's not a home run for Trump, but it's a triple, right? So it'll help him. But what is interesting is how this can play into the next presidential administration, if Trump gets in, that means that you could start asking questions like the dossier, the fake dossier that came from the Hillary Clinton campaign that went to the FBI and Obama signed off for surveillance of Trump's campaign at the time. All right. So this is the 2016 campaign. All right. Did Obama's sign off, is that an official or unofficial act? If it comes out that Obama knew that it was fake, then it becomes an unofficial act and he could be prosecuted. See, so people aren't paying attention that how these official and unofficial acts could be turned around onto the Democratic Party, onto Obama and Biden. All right. Because what about as VP getting, these special deals that were going on with Ukraine and how money was flowing from China to Hunter? These acts, these things that Biden was doing, and these things going after Trump that Obama's administration was doing could potentially be chargeable offenses if Trump gets the right attorney general.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see. We've only got a few months left for the big shebang. Now, Paul, before we let you go, let us know what you're working on, what you're going to be up to, especially over the next month, if anything, before we get you back on. And let's do a little shameless self promotion time too.
Well, I mean, I'm going to be doing my shows and, and talk and giving people's my opinion. I think that people really need to start paying attention to their body and how to learn from bodybuilders, how to learn from longevity experts, and how to build up their body, and get it. You don't have to be a, super bulked up person, right? But you can learn from like the creatine stuff and the different proteins that, and the muscle recovery, something you can tone it down and actually, learn from, these are the experts. I mean, it's the ones that actually did it in the gym, the ones that actually have, slowed down the aging process for their own body or their own family members compared to, quote, the experts out there that, that may only focus on dermatology or only focus on cardiology or only focus on, bone health, so, I think we can learn a lot from people, especially in the bodybuilder world and sports medicine world, and how to apply it to our own lives to get healthy.
Yeah, I've seen a few publications where they like overall like muscle mass to longevity or age. I remember one specifically like on legs alone. Like there's a couple doctors maybe basically take a look at some of their lower body, like specifically, and determine,
Mhm.
not how long someone would live, but bigger mass basically have a longer
Right,
life.
right. Because what's happening is they got more muscle, so they can move around. They most likely have activated their cerebellum, many times in the gym. So they have this better coordination. And then because they were lifting heavier weights, they were training the osteones in the bone and the hip neck, the femoral neck, where it's stronger. Because you hear about people in their 70s, they fall, they break their hip, and 2 weeks later they're dead. Well, the big reason for that is that
broke his hip, and like a week after surgery, I think he died or something.
Yeah, it's like it's a big geriatric killer,
Yeah.
So it makes sense and it takes years to remodel bone, right? Your bone actually recycles every about 7 years. All right. If you are not training it as it's recycling, it's remodeling the matrix, and what will happen is the bone actually weakens. If you are training it with weights, then what happens is it's strengthening. So, but it takes about 7 year cycle to really improve it. So,
I can sit and meditate on this one. I just want 5% royalty on this deal. developed like an over 60, we'll call it Jerry bubble, where you just go on a bubble. That way, in case you fall down, you just bounce right back up. You know what I mean? Protect your hip.
Right.
5% royalty.
Right. But we would also have it also comes with bone broth, powder.
In any case, Paul, thanks so much for joining us. We got two Condit Juniors still to go, and make sure one more plug for the website.
Yeah, let me just plug the website. So, please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, to get the supplements that I have. I have structural nano silver. I have boomer products with a plethora of different supplements. I have natural deodorants, and I have C60, which is a very strong antioxidant. So if you just follow what I've been doing, I do this every day, you'll improve your health. You'll, and hopefully you get back to the pre-COVID days.
Good stuff. Yeah, folks, ladies from Dr. Paul Cottrell. We got two Condit Junior coming up next. So next time, stay safe, no buzz.